Hey guys, it's been a while, sorry about that. I thought I would make a new video for you though about something that I get asked about all the time. So if you follow me on Instagram, at Mama in the Rain is my handle if you don't, but if you follow me on there, you will know that I'm super nerdy and passionate about research, and specifically Montessori research. I love learning about the science behind it and how it affects children's brain development and all that kind of stuff. So I'm super geeky about that. And I get asked all the time where I do my research. So I do watch a lot of lectures, read a lot of research papers online, things like that. But books is something that I'm hugely passionate about, and I love reading books. I've got a nice stack here of Montessori books, and I thought I would share them with you because I feel like it's taken me this entire time that we've been doing Montessori at home to really get enough titles, research enough titles to read and really learn about it. It can be a little tricky to find books for parents about Montessori. So I thought I'd share with you, and that way you would have a list to go off of and not have to do all the digging around that I've had to do. But this is going to be a very casual video, so I apologize for not having any special effects or anything. So this is the Montessori Toddler, and if you are new to Montessori, this is the book to get, even if your child's not toddler age, because this really covers all the bases of getting started. How to set up your home, kind of how to talk to your child in a more respectful way, kind of like positive discipline kind of thing, and then just lists of activities and all of that. So I definitely recommend this one. So this one's not specifically about I have my dog over there, so I apologize for any barking. This is not specifically about the Montessori method, but it includes a lot of that. But it's a biography about Maria Montessori. So again, if you're new to Montessori and you don't know a lot about its founder, Maria Montessori, this is a great one to read. It's all about her life. She's had a lot of surprising events going on in her life. World War II was a big factor and things like that. So I highly recommend this. It's really interesting. And then this one is a very old book. It was published in 1912. And this is my all-time favorite Montessori book. I think because when I first read it, it was just reading an experience from a mother that felt just my experience, discovering Montessori and how exciting and, awe-inspiring it was. So this is by Dorothy Canfield Fisher. It's called Montessori Mother, and it's kind of her account of visiting Maria Montessori's school in Italy. And she was an American, and she was an author, and she had young children, and she discovered the Montessori method because it was kind of all over the newspapers all over the world, and so she wanted to learn more about it. So she went to Italy and observed the classroom. So it's detailed accounts of what she saw and watching it, and how the method worked and all of that, and just how it was so revolutionary, the idea. So this one was my favorite book ever because it just captures that feeling of discovering Montessori for the first time and feeling so excited. So I definitely recommend that one. And I'm sorry if I'm going fast. I will put all these titles in the description box also, and feel free to message me on Instagram or leave a comment if you have any questions about these books. I will say I get a lot of my books from thriftbooks.com, especially since I'm not affiliated with them, but you get points for all the books that you buy, and I've gotten a lot of free books that way. So a lot of these are out of print, and so I have used ones, but some of them you can get on Amazon too. So the next one is also by Dorothy Canfield Fisher. It's called The Montessori Manual for Teachers and Parents. And this is kind of a response from Dorothy Canfield Fisher after she wrote A Montessori Mother. She also wrote a lot of opinion articles and things in newspapers where she lived. And people wanted to know more about it, and they had all kinds of questions, and obviously there wasn't the internet, and you couldn't just Google things or look up blog, or question and answers. So she had people just writing in all the time, and she wanted to address all of the questions of how to do Montessori. This one walks through kind of introducing Montessori at home. Obviously this was written a long time ago, and things have changed a bit, and we have a lot more knowledge, and even Maria Montessori herself continued to do research and work after this. So this is a good foundation, but I wouldn't recommend using this, like solely this book for setting up Montessori, and it is geared towards like primary age. So like the 2.5 to 6 year olds. It walks you through, you know, which activities to introduce first, like the pink tower and the brown stair and things like that. And it's just a really good overview of like what the materials are, why you're doing it, and just kind of like the order to introduce them in. And comparing it to other like scope and sequence lists that I found online or in other books is pretty accurate. So I really like this one. And then on this one, I hate the cover of this book. It feels like it doesn't make any sense, but whatever. This is Dr. Montessori's own handbook. So this is a Maria Montessori book, and it was kind of her response to everyone asking, well, how do we do this? How do we set up Montessori? And she was very hesitant to give any kind of manual or guidebook or like strict rules on how to do it, because she really felt that it should all be flexible. So she did write this book, and she agreed to kind of give a basic outline of her method and how to introduce it and how to set it up. Talks about setting up the environment, talks about each particular exercise, like color tablets and things like that. So this is really interesting to read from her own words. Again, I wouldn't use this one solely to set up your environment, but it's a really good one to get you started and to kind of feel like, for me, it felt like double checking my own research and my own intuition about introducing it with what Maria Montessori had to say herself. So this is another Maria Montessori book, The Absorbent Mind. This one also covers some of the activities, but in more of a why you're doing them and what they're doing for the child, and a lot more of the method itself and kind of the science behind it and the ideas behind it. So this one I would highly recommend though, because it really gives you a really good base of understanding of all of the activities and just the entire method itself for like primary age children. Teaching Montessori in the Home, the Preschool Years, and this is by Elizabeth G. Hainstock. This book is amazing. This was written, I want to say, in the 80s, and it was a mother who homeschooled her children and tried to do Montessori at home, and she wanted to create like the first, you know, like guidebook for homeschoolers. So this is really cool. This book walks you through all of the specific Montessori activities, how to introduce them, what the reason for them is. It does talk a little bit in the beginning about setting up your home, but a really cool thing about it is it talks about how to DIY things. So like what you need to make rough and smooth boards or scent bottles. So I mean, it is an older book. It's got where you can copy for making sandpaper letters and things like that, but it's got some really good ideas for DIY. So I definitely recommend this one. She also wrote Montessori in the Home, the School Years, but I will warn you that one is very hard to get your hands on. It's not in print anymore, but if you go on thrift books, sometimes it does pop up. And then this book is by one of my favorite Montessori authors, Susan Mayclin Stephenson. It's called Child of the World, Montessori Global Education for ages 3 to 12 plus. So it covers like an overview of what the curriculum, for lack of a better word, looks like for Montessori primary and up. And I love it because you get to see the foundation you're building with the primary age, with things like learning about plants and animals and care of self and the environment and things like that. And then you get to see what's building on top of that as they get older. So I really, really recommend her books. She's got some really good ones. She even just released a few months ago a book all about her homeschooling journey with her youngest child. She homeschooled them. And that's not so much like a guide, but like personal stories of what it looked like for them. And she was a Montessori teacher, and she's been an author for a long time. So some really great information. This is one that I discovered recently. Bought recently. I discovered a while ago, but I wasn't sure about it. This book is amazing, and this is hands down the book I would recommend to anybody trying to do primary homeschooling with Montessori at home. So this is Basic Montessori, Learning Activities for Under 5s by David Gettman. And this book literally walks you through step by step what to introduce when, why you're introducing it, how to introduce it, the presentation and all of that. This is like the manual. I will say it cuts short a little bit. It doesn't cover everything that you'd see in a Montessori classroom, but for like, you know, 2.5, 3 to 5, it definitely does. When they get to be more like the 6-year-old age, they'll kind of have grown out of some of the stuff in this book, but absolutely hands down the best book. So definitely get this if you're homeschooling. This book would be the one I would recommend outside of Maria Montessori's books that she wrote. If you're looking for just a really concise book to give you an idea of what Montessori is all about, it would be this one. So this is Montessori, A Modern Approach by Paula Polk Lillard. And this is the best one that I've found for just getting a really good overview of what Montessori is and the science behind it. So I highly recommend this one. Now, Paula Polk Lillard also wrote a few other books. This one is Montessori Today, A Comprehensive Approach to Education from Birth to Adulthood. Now, this one is really cool in that it breaks down each stage of development from babies, primary years, and into adulthood, and what learning in those specific stages look like. So this one is really interesting to get a broad overview. And then she also wrote this one, which I love. This one is Montessori in the Classroom, a teacher's account of how children really learn. And this is basically a look at what her years of teaching Montessori looked like, you know, what she observed, and even in the back what their first days looked like in the classroom, kind of like a little routine written out. This one I totally nerded out over because I'm obsessed with Montessori, and I have never actually been inside a Montessori classroom. This is something I discovered through books and online and reading, so we don't have a lot of Montessori options near me, so I haven't gotten that experience, so this was really exciting. So if you're trying to do homeschooling or something like that, you might really enjoy this too. Now this one was written by Paula Polk Lillard's daughter, who is, I want to say, at the University of Virginia, like the head of research there. If you look her up, she has a website, amazing research articles. She leads all kinds of research studies on Montessori, on child development and things like that, and she has some really interesting work out there. So she is my favorite resource to learn about Montessori, just because of my nerdy obsession with research and science and learning about the science behind it. So this is Montessori, The Science Behind the Genius by Angeline Stoll Lillard. And this is like an accumulation of all of her research and just like really digging into the science behind it and comparing it to traditional school and what the differences are. So I highly recommend this. It's packed full of information and research. So if you're really interested in the science behind it like I am, you're going to love this book. So that is it. I will stop there for now. This is probably going to be really long, and I apologize for all of the jump cuts in here. My camera keeps overheating, so I keep having to stop it. But I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if you have any other favorite books, because I'm always looking for some. You can leave it in the comments below. This is definitely a small percentage of the books you can find out there about Montessori or about parenting. So definitely not an exhaustive list, but these are my go-to books for when I need to look something up or research, and that's just what I've got in my library. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye.